Wache, welcome to Quilts for Survivors. We are a nonprofit organization based out of South Porcupine, Ontario, which is part of Timmins, and we make hugs that we ship to survivors of residential school, day school, 60 scoop, and other traumas that Indigenous people have suffered. And by a hug, we mean a quilt. And as you can see behind me, there's a couple of quilts, and we're going to take you through the whole process of making a hug. So now we're at the cutting table where the hug or quilt process begins. So what we do is we pick a pattern, then we pick our fabric, and then we take the time to cut it up. So the pattern will tell you exactly what sizes to use for different colors, and it's really at the creator's discretion on what fabrics they'd like to use and how they want to incorporate all of that into a quilt block. So after you've cut your fabric and you've sewn your fabric, the next step is to lay out your quilt. So we have these beautiful design walls that work great to help you plan out your design, because just sticking a bunch of random blocks together may not be what you want to do. So you take your beautiful block that you've sewn together, 12 to 20 blocks to make a quilt, depending on the size of the block. These are quite large. Sometimes the blocks are the same pattern and sometimes they're different. They just have to be the same size so they go together really nicely. So now we've taken our first row of blocks, so 4 rows of 3, and we're going to sew our blocks together. So all our blocks are the same size, so there's no need to put any sashing or borders. So we're going to take our 2 blocks. We're going to place them right sides together, so the pretty side together, and we're going to sew 1/4 inch all the way down the side so that they connect. And depending again on the size of the block, you might need more blocks or less blocks. Or you can even use a variety of sizes. All right, so now the next step is to sew the remaining of these rows together, and then we'll stitch the rows, attach the rows together, and we'll have a finished top, which this is also a finished top. It has less blocks, it has a large panel in the center, but it's all done and ready to be long-armed. So this will go downstairs. So that's where we're going to go. Okay, so when a quilt top is finished and it's ready to be long-armed, this one's rather large, they come down here and we place them on the long arm. So this is a long arm. It's a 10-foot frame with a 50-pound sewing machine, and we're going to do the quilting process. So this is how I do it. I take the quilt, I lay it out on the frame so that I know exactly how big it is. So then your next step would be to pick your thread. We're going to stick with the orange that's already in there, and we're going to get started. So we showed you the quilting process, how we use the long arm. We have about 500 tops here at the studio that need this process done, and then they'll get shipped to a survivor. So lots of different patterns and colors, and they're unique as the people who made them, and then of course the people who receive them. So when the quilting process is done, the quilts come up here and they're ready to be bound. All the excess fabric and batting has been cut off, and we're going to take some binding. So you can see here that stitch that we did, the stay stitch, and then you can see all the beautiful loops and swirls, similar to what I was doing downstairs. And then we're going to go pick our binding. You can pin or use clips, I just don't. All right, so we're nearing the end of our Ship a Hug process. So all of these steps go into making a beautiful quilt that we then pass on to a survivor. So in this quilt here, you can see there are lots of different blocks with lots of different fabric. Each block is made by a different individual. They might have made 2 or 3, but every block is made by a different person. So you could have, 4 or 5 or even 10 or 20 people working on this quilt. Then there was someone who quilted it, and then I did the binding. So quite a few people working on the same hug all together. So when you see our hashtag Ship a Hug, now you see the process that goes behind each and every one of those hugs. And we have done this over 8,500 times since we started in June of 2021. So let's finish up our process. So we carefully fold each quilt so that it'll fit in the box. So this is our process. And then we carefully fold it up. Sometimes you might find a thread or two on your quilt, but that's just part of the process. All right, so this is where we keep our medicines. There's 4 medicines that many Indigenous people use. We have sage, sweetgrass, tobacco, and cedar. And we light our sage as a way to cleanse ourselves, cleanse the building, cleanse from the negativity, and bring in the positivity. So we get a little bit of a flame going, and then we gently smolder it out, and then you get this beautiful smoke, which is the smudge. So before we smudge the quilt, it's important to smudge yourself, because we want to cleanse all the negativity and bring in that positivity so our hug is shipped in a good way. So we smudge our thoughts, good thoughts, so we hear good things, see good things, say good things, that we hold good things in our hearts, and then just ensuring that we do everything in a good way. And I smudged my glasses because they're man-made materials. So important to do that. Some people will remove all their rings and things. I don't wear any, so. And then we take each and every quilt and we place it over the smudge and just ask the Creator to send it off in a good way. And then when the recipient receives the quilt, it'll still smell like the sage, and it's a good memory and a positive memory. So every hug costs $30 to ship. So we ask, some of these are donated, some of them are bought with donations, and some of them we get shipping money through sponsors and grants, etc. So this is one box going to one survivor with one quilt. So inside there is a letter explaining who we are and why they're getting this quilt if they didn't know. There's a poem in there, and then they get a personalized card that are handmade by youth and other volunteers. So that goes in there. Then the hug gets placed inside the box. And these are already labeled and ready to go. They're prepaid, so once I drop it off at the post office, it's ready to be shipped. And this one's going to Southport, Manitoba. So here at Quilts for Survivors, on average, we ship about 5 quilts a day every day. So we're shipping 5 hugs to survivors across Turtle Island and beyond. Each hug costs $30, so we kindly ask that you offer your support. Either purchase some boxes from your local post office or send us $30 and we can ship a hug to a survivor. These boxes are ready to go and we're going to ship them out. And if you're showing your support, you can use the hashtag #ShipAHug with your pictures of you buying boxes or making a quilt or making a block. One of these quilts is going to a survivor who just turned 101. And one is going to her sister as well. So that's absolutely amazing. And I am so grateful to all of you amazing people out there who have helped make blocks, tops, and have helped us ship hugs. We have many more to ship. So don't forget to use the hashtag #ShipAHug when you're talking about quilts for survivors. You can follow us on social media and check out our website, www.quiltsforsurvivors.ca. Chi miigwech.